All right, we're back with Rod Vesling of SafeDocs. Rod, you have an interesting background. You have business education with something I found unique, competitive strategy as part of one of your degrees. You've got large name brand corporate, aka Kodak, to entrepreneurial, what I call not just ventures but adventures, actually, in data storage and digital transactions. Can you share with us how this, and in fact you've evolved in your career, and are you at the "this is what I wanted to be when I grow up" point?
Yeah, it's interesting. As I've gone along and acquired different work experiences and an MBA and so on, I think it's absolutely trained me to for where I am today. And I've found my niche kind of in the smaller size company to startup sort of company where you need a lot of kind of different tools in your tool bag, from analyzing a market to doing business plans to understanding what it takes to scale, to people, working closely with people and hiring good people and motivating folks. And so all of those things come together, especially in a small company or a startup. And so I've had the big company experience and a lot of formal training and just experience in general, but I think those things have all come together for me in kind of this more entrepreneurial startup, small business sort of environment.
And you've kind of seen a great brand, unfortunately, go in a wrong direction to keep, to maintain. That must have been super valuable in your branding of the entrepreneurial ventures you've been in.
Yeah, you're speaking of Kodak.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. That was such a good company, such a philanthropic company for many years. Tremendous, profits and growth. Those profits in film were seductive to a point where we couldn't make the transition to digital in a timely fashion. And so that is absolutely kind of a Harvard business case example. Mm-hmm. I was on the digital side, actually. So we were always working and fighting for resources. Like in any large company, it's kind of an allocation of resources, and that was definitely a challenge, and one that has been a great experience. It's followed me as you see all these other disruptive technologies, whether it be Uber, whether it be what I'm doing now with e-notarization. You gotta transition to survive.
Yeah, decisions can really be critical, and it's a good segue. I mean, you clearly are an experienced leader in an industry that is and has and continues to transform business. Where do you see this all going, both short and long term, including in terms of security? Everybody's talking about cybersecurity and privacy and whatnot. Where do you see it all going?
Yeah, it's interesting in the digital transaction management space. I say that broadly as kind of how the industry which automates traditional kind of paper processes. E-sign legislation came out in 2000, which really, and that was federal legislation that enabled the electronic signature market to take off. Mm-hmm. The e-notarization space does not have a federal legislation supporting it. In fact, notaries are agents of the state and are actually governed by each state individually. So there are a lot of challenges to working more on a state level, trying to get some federal legislation adopted, and having other kind of industry influencers involved in supporting that. So those are a number of things that we're doing to try to promote the market and bring the market to scale and adoption. Security, as you mentioned, is absolutely paramount. You have to be looking at anything you're doing from a development standpoint, new products. Security has to be at the heart of your thinking, given all the exposure of some of the attacks and other things that have occurred, over the last several years. So for us, we feel with the digital process, we're actually bringing a higher level of security, a higher level of authentication to what a notary typically performs on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's a fascinating world how we've changed, and not that long time period of just being more open, and yet the whole new world of how we secure ourselves. I saw something the other day where hackers are getting in through smart light bulbs these days in people's homes. So, it's crazy. But and the other thing I wanted to ask you, in relation to security too, is I've been fortunate to have a lot of experiences business-wise, travel globally, and working with different size businesses, different size wallets, different visions, different cultures, the whole bit. And I actually love the similarities and differences. They tell you never to assume, but I'll assume that you see this going global. Obviously, you're starting regional, national. Is this something that could go global?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are opportunities all over the world. Notaries is a function that is common in other parts of the world as well.
Right.
I'll tell you though, Mark, in any startup or small company, you have to focus, right?
Yeah.
And go after where you have the best chance of succeeding, especially early on. And so we have so much potential here in the States right at the very moment that is where the majority of our focus is. At the same time, we are having discussions with some folks in South America and in Asia and in Europe, but it's more kind of early discussions. I personally love international business, different cultures, immersing in and working with different teams or partners on the ground in various countries around the world. That's been actually one of the highlights of my career. Mm-hmm. And I fully expect SafeDocs to be out there in the international markets, but probably in the next year or two, our focus is still focused here and really establishing ourselves as a dominant player here in the States, and then spreading from there.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That's usually the way to go, the startups, and yet it's such an interesting world right now. A lot of my clients sometimes are forced to go global faster because a potential competitor is going global because it's quote unquote easier with internet and whatnot to do it. So it becomes a challenge. You want to have a strong foundation, and yet even Uber, so we got to get to China, and yet look what happened in Uber with China. It's tough. It's really tough. But if I was your business advisor, I would say, yeah, you're doing the right thing. You got to create that strong foundation. So, question related to that, maybe a little more personal. Tell us. I love the whole expression of what's a management's why, or what's an individual's why. What is quote unquote your why in doing what you're doing, and even in relation to in terms of your family, your clients, your employees, et cetera, et cetera. What turns you got to have that why, that heart and soul to make your business successful, and not just to be in a job. What's your why?
Yeah. Well, I personally enjoy what I'm doing. I love being in a startup environment. I get tremendous satisfaction out of seeing people around me also growing and lifting and going on to bigger and better things within the company or even outside the company. And I feel like in a startup environment or younger company, there is a tremendous amount of growth, and you can see the company and the individuals all lifting together in that way. Sometimes for a family of somebody who's involved with a startup, there's a lot of ups and downs. So
yeah.
it doesn't necessarily make it easy on your family, but I'm fortunate to have a wife and children who are understanding of that. But I just had just this last week a woman that worked for me previously as our VP of marketing. She's at another company now, but I just gave her a recommendation and I had an interview with UCLA MBA program on for her, and I just got word Friday that she got accepted into the program, and that couldn't be more rewarding for me to see somebody that I've worked with who has continued to build her skills and now get accepted as one of her goals into an outstanding program to even further her career. So it's those kind of things that are extremely motivating to me.
Yeah, well, they say, I do a lot of sports analogies. They say the best way to determine the legacy of a head coach is to see how many assistant coaches become head coaches elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you're saying is basically that, and it means you're doing the right thing. And it's interesting. We concentrate on right fit type of people, all the time, or matches, and we always talk about how it has to be the right fit, obviously for management and the candidate, but it also has to be the right fit for the family. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're lucky. You've got the family that's the right fit.
They're understanding.
So a little personal questions. Not too personal, but personal. Do you have a pet?
I don't. I'm not a big pet guy. My kids have always wanted dogs and cats, and it's just I feel like if we get a dog or a cat, I'm going to be pulled into being one of the key people taking care of it. So pets are not on my short list of things to invest in.
Get a fish. That'll work. How about, do you have a favorite activity or sport?
Absolutely. I played football growing up and in college, and actually spent a brief stint with the Jets as a place kicker. Back then. I'm sorry?
I'm from a Dolphins fan. I'm supposed to be hissing right now.
Yeah, sorry. I was just there just during preseason, but you know what? Since then, I don't know what transitioned, but I think you're a hockey fan also, and I've become a big LA Kings fan, and I love the sport because of the beauty and just the beauty of the play, but also the aggressiveness and the physicality of the sport. Kind of those two mixed together, to me, make it one of the most interesting sports to watch, both live and on TV. And my son's played, hockey, and I just have really become a big hockey fan. And I like golf, too.
Well, you won't get arguments from me on that, especially on two little sharp blades that you got to do it on. It's always interesting. So, hey, do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
I don't. Between sports and news, those are the main things. I watch. I don't really watch like a regular TV show. Just too many other things going on.
And that tells the picture of the evolving entertainment world of everybody's going to be on their phone watching what they want to watch, right?
Yeah, that's right.
How about favorite music, favorite food? Yeah,
there you're hitting a couple of spots I really I can really talk about. As I've matured, let's say, I've really come to appreciate Pink Floyd.
Oh, yeah.
and especially David Gilmour, the guitarist. His guitar solos are, to me, magical. It puts me in kind of a zone as I listen to Pink Floyd. So I more often than not am listening to Pink Floyd. On the food side, I actually love to cook. There's lots of things, both indoors and outdoors, that I enjoy. One of my favorites, just did a couple of nights ago, is grilling out a skirt steak and making a chimichurri sauce to go along with that, along with some Brussels sprouts baked with banana peppers and jalapeno peppers and bacon.
No, you're getting me hungry, man. You're getting me hungry. If they would have served Brussels sprouts to kids the way some restaurants are doing it now, there would have been a lot more kids eating Brussels sprouts.
I think so. I think so. I it's only been, I think, in the last 5-7 years that they became popular. Again, I think it was something we all avoided when we were younger.
Well, have you ever tasted them without all that stuff? Of course we're going to avoid it. It's so terrible. Anyways, thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Mark.